On today's show, we speak live to Bryan Robson, the England captain, who will be leading his nation to next summer's World Cup finals. But will Scotland be there? Defeat by the French has left Andy Roxburgh's men needing a point against Norway next month. Jack Charlton's Republic are a whisker away from their first ever finals. We've the best of the World Cup action for you. Also today, sport is booming in Sheffield. The Blades are being sharpened again for an assault on the First Division. Good afternoon.
Good day. Now, Saint, what happened? There you are, favourites to qualify first, and England sneak in, and what was it like in not-so-gay Paris?
Well, it wasn't so gay Paris, Jim, but I have to say, we did say last week that we were saving it all up for the big night at Hampden Park, and that is the only way to go to Cup finals, on a wave of euphoria.
Are you sure about that?
Not quite, but...
No, exactly. Yeah, you're talking
but
yourself
we'll have more of
into
Scotland in
later on.
Right. But England have qualified. Let's just reiterate a few facts for you. Since the disappointment of the European Championships, they've played 12 matches without losing. The 6 qualifying ties were negotiated without a single goal being conceded. And all this was achieved in the face of a frenzied newspaper campaign against manager Bobby Robson, which sank to pathetic levels of personal abuse and vilification. All the manager did was pick the best players available, but it wasn't enough for some sections of the press. Well, there weren't too many apologies in evidence this week, but skipper Bryan Robson was quick to pay tribute to his manager on the trip home. He's talking now to Brian Moore at Old Trafford.
Brian, I was interested in that public address announcement on the aeroplane. That was clearly your support for Bobby Robson.
Well, it wasn't just my support, Brian. It was for the rest of the lads as well. All the lads feel like that about Bobby Robson, you know that. He's took a lot of unjustified stick in the press, and we just felt that he'd stuck by the players, and we're just glad that we put him into the World Cup finals.
You feel the mood of the players is absolutely right under Bobby Robson?
Yes, it is. It's always been a good atmosphere within the squad, and the lads work on that, and we do get on well together, and so I think sometimes that goes onto the field of play as well.
The curious thing is, though, that you qualified now, as the Saint was saying. You've not lost a goal and you've not lost a game, and yet the praise is still very grudging.
I think 90% of the press are very pleased that we're over in Italy, but I still think there's a 10% that didn't particularly want the team to do well, or didn't want Bobby Robson to do well. Maybe it's because they've criticised him. But I've read a few articles since I've been back, and there's a lot of people are saying that the players think that they've more or less won the World Cup just because they qualified. Now, as far as some people are concerned, maybe it's they think that we've got a divine right to be in the World Cup finals. But the players didn't feel like that. We knew we had to work at it. We feel like we've done that, and so we feel justified at the moment to have a bit of a smile on our face because we have qualified.
The broadest smile must be on the face of a 40-year-old goalkeeper, I would think, as well.
Well, there's not much you can say about Schultz. I mean, through the years he's proved himself as one of the best goalkeepers in the world. He's kept that up for about 20 years, and he proved the other night that he's going to take a lot of replacing.
Now let's move on to Italy. I mean, what do you see the prospects there now in the World Cup final for England?
Well, I think we've got quite a settled basis in the squad. We've got lads who've got a lot of experience in playing in World Cup finals, and now we've got the nice thought of a few young lads coming through, pushing the experienced players for the places, and that's always got to be good. You know, young lads coming through, challenging for places. I mean, we've got people now like Paul Parker and Gascoigne, Dave Rocastle. They're all pushing for places, and like we say, you know, that's good for the squad.
Do you see even a winning prospect for England in Italy?
I definitely wouldn't write it off. Obviously, we've got a fair bit of work to do. We know against Poland that they caused us quite a few problems, and it wasn't particularly the best performance that we've put up for England, but it was a good battling performance. We got the result that we needed to get us to Italy, and now it is a case of working on things and trying to improve. So when we do get to the World Cup finals, then we can put on a good performance, not for ourselves, but for the fans as well.
Well, you've also got to put on a good performance for Manchester United now. You're embarrassingly near the bottom of the table. The smoke in the boardroom seems to have cleared a little bit. You've a vital game near the bottom against Sheffield Wednesday today.
Yeah, known Ron Atkinson. This will be a tough one. He'll have his lads wound up against us, and it'll be like a cup final for them. But every game that you play for Manchester United, it seems to be a lot fiercer of a pace than when I played for, West Brom. Every game's like a cup final to the other team that we're playing. So we know what to expect, and what we've got to do, we've got to get into a team pattern with all the new faces coming in, get into a settled system, and once we do that, I'm sure that the results will improve for United.
Thanks for joining us live, Brian. Let's go back to the Saint.
Well, thank you, the two Bryans up there
yes,
at Old Trafford.
Thank you. It's Old Moore and his anorak and Bryan Robson. Thank you very much. Unfortunate nickname, Schultz, isn't it, occasionally? It can roll off the tongue the wrong way, but never mind.
Do you think Shilton, I've seen in newspapers, is saying that he wants to play in the build-up games, Jim? I think England have about 6 or 7 fixtures before the World Cup. He said he would like to play. Do you think it's right that he should do that?
I think it's right that Bobby Robson should be able to give most players that he wants to give a chance now. Too, because it's not a question of knowing what the team's going to be out in Italy. I think Bobby Robson's made up his mind about that. The problem is that between now and the World Cup there could be injuries of a major source. We've seen it with Neil Webb, and I think that you've got to have players who have got to be tried in the remaining games where Bobby can at least say, well, yes, I've tried him and I'm prepared to go with him, that particular player. So I feel that in the long run, really, he should give as many players a chance as possible.
OK, fine. Well, on Wednesday night, I was in Paris to see whether Scotland could use their second qualifying opportunity against France. Now, just like in Yugoslavia a month ago, a point was all that we needed. But again, like in Yugoslavia, Jim, we started the game rather well. In fact, for half an hour,
you kicked off, didn't you?
Well, we didn't look in much danger, and then the French got going a little bit and carved us up. And the goalkeeper got a little bit of stick here for this near post.
Difficult shot to save, Ian.
I wouldn't blame him really on that one.
Not at all.
That was a tough one.
Not at all.
But we had a couple of chances. This being the best of them here when Ali McCoist volleyed against the bar from about 7 yards out. Maybe he should have tucked that one away. Now, Dimeco got sent off. Well, he'd been booked earlier and a bit of a headbanger. He was sliding in the back of everybody. But against 10 men, we were all over the place. Look, defensively, Jim, I don't know what happened to us. But Cantona was allowed to run through, no problems.
Yes, you've got problems, Sam.
I actually never saw this. I had left the stadium, Jim, 2 minutes to go.
Have you really?
Yes,
I
had.
You wanted a quick Campari and soda, did you?
Stevie Nicol deflected the ball in the net.
But
as I say, I feel that in the early games in the World Cup, we were playing with a lot of fire, and a lot of vigour, and we looked good.
And
but
now
the last
gone, isn't it?
No, the last couple of games, I think we've gone into a shell.
Yeah.
I mean, and defensively, the goals, we'll have a look at them again, Jim. Defensively, we're all over the place.
Well, what do you attribute to it? I mean, here you had good defence. Personally, I think this is a well-worked goal.
Watch Gordon Strachan, top left of your screen. Now, little Gordon's back defending, fatal for the forwards. Look, he moves out.
To play offside.
Leaves a lad in there free. Now, had he stayed marking, he'd have been in a position to stop the ball.
I think it's one of the great downfalls of our game in Britain that we play the offside rule against talented footballers.
Here again, we're caught flat. Our two centre defenders are nowhere. They're up the park. We're trying to play offside. Maurice Malpass plays a lad on and bang, we're 2 down.
Yeah.
So
there you are. So it's all down to the old Norseman coming to Hamburg and
to Hamburg.
You get Hamden, and you get what? A point. You need a point.
We get a point, and that will be it, Jim. But I'm confident now that we will be joining England and the Republic.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm very sure. Right, so Scotland still waiting, England through, and the Republic all but there. Well, here's the rest of the significant action with Martin Tyler and Peter Brackley in our World Cup roundup.